So when I introduce spurs to a horse, I want the horse to learn that spurs are there to make him soft. You know, same with all my other aids. Like, my aids are not there to make him miserable, but to make him soft and gentle, and to just, you know, get a bend in their body and use their body and lift up their back and everything. So when I introduce spurs, I always try to go into like my basic exercise of how to get them soft, which is I go on a little circle, like on a little bend, and I use my inner leg and like a little bit of my inner spur, but I'm very aware of where my spur is and when my spur touches the horse. I need to be aware of that. I need to be able to feel that. A lot of people don't feel that, which is not good. You have to be aware of your spurs. And then when I touch him here with my spur, and he's soft and gentle, and he gives me a bend and like his mind and his body, then I'll release. And then again, I put him on the other side, my leg goes on, and then my spurs goes on. And if he gives me his mind and his body, I'll release. And it's very important when I use spurs on a horse. I want to use my leg first, because eventually I want to be able to ride him with very little spurs, or only use the spurs when I really need them. So if I can see he's pretty okay with the spurs. He's not being very bad about it, which I expected worse. So now if I bend him and he reacts to my leg, I don't even need the spur, you know. But in the beginning, I do want to touch him a little more with it, just to kind of figure out how they're reacting to it and how, you know, how they feel about it. Now he's kind of distracted, and I'm just going to stay with him. If I take it, like if I bend him around and he's going to stay pretty, you know, hard and not very getting soft, or losing his forward, then I'm just going to stay with my leg and my spur, but I'm not going to push any harder, because I really rarely want to increase the pressure on my legs, because you can get a horse numb or sour on your legs very quickly, and I don't want that. So I don't increase the pressure on my legs. I just increase the forward. You know, if he's getting kind of slow here and not really being soft, I just increase the forward a little bit. There you go. Or I just wait longer. You know, a lot of people just don't wait long enough, because the horse needs some time to find into the exercise and to kind of let go of whatever he's looking at back there, you know. That's beautiful. You're kind of drawing circles around the exit because he really wants to go out there. Which I'm not going to argue with him much about this. I'm going to try to move him a little bit away from it, but I'm not going to, like, desperately try to steer him away from it, because the more he realizes that I don't want to go there, the more he's trying to go there. Very often. Not with every horse, but with a lot of horses. And here he has a bend, but his mind is still somewhere else. So I'm going to stick with him. Stick with him. Mind is still somewhere else. Although he's bending and he's going away from my spur. That's a little better. Whatever that was. That's way better. You see, before that, he was bending really nicely around my leg, but his mind was still somewhere else. It was really important for me that I get their mind, their body, and their mind. You know, that's just one part. Okay. Let's try this on a trot. To trot him forward, I'll put my legs on very gently. And the same as on the groundwork, I want to like give him a lot of time and like be very soft in the beginning, and then eventually increase my my aids. Put my legs on, increase my energy. Very nice. I was immediately going to the exit. And I'm going to let him go there. Or we're going to ride forward. And he's not going to be able to ride forward into the corner, so he's going to move out of it eventually. And same in the trot, I want to make it soft. So I go on a bend, and I'll stay on the bend until I get his mind and his body. Put my spurs on. That's good. I might expect a little less in the trot than in a walk, but I still want to have his mind and body soft. And I'm gotta watch my spurs even more in the trot because naturally my leg will bounce a little more. Doesn't matter how good of a seat I have, my legs will bounce a little bit, and that's gonna cause the spurs to bounce a little bit on the horse sometimes. So I gotta be a little extra cautious where I put them and how I put them on the horse. That's better. It's pretty windy. That's very nice. And I'll just kind of cruise around. I don't really have a pattern at our ride. Just every time he's tensing up or he's dragging into a certain direction or looking very sharply into direction, I'm gonna steer him and make sure that in the steering progress he's nice and soft. I'm not gonna stop steering him until he's nice and soft. At the same time as if I touch him to steer and he's immediately soft, I'm just gonna stop steering him, although I'm not in the direction where I want it to go. Because it's in the beginning, it's not about steering, about where we're going, it's about how we're going there. He's pressing against the fence here and the exit, so I'm just going to stick here with him. Stick here with him. Nice. And I really like getting them soft in a rope halter or like a bozell or something before I do that in the bit, because in the bit there are situations where I got to pull him quite a bit, and I don't want to do that in the bit if it's not necessary. So I'd much rather do it in something less sharp, or something that's not in your mouth, in case I got to pull on it a little more. That was nice. Now he's kind of figured out the game with my legs, to kind of move away from my legs to be soft. So I'm going to help him with my inside and my outside leg. So if he pushes out too much with his shoulders, I'm going to put my outside leg on a little bit and help him out. But if he's too hard and bend to the outside, I'm going to put my inside leg on again and make him a little soft again. A little outside leg, getting a little sour, so I'm just going to stick with him with my spurs and wait for him to be soft and forward again. I'm going to release. I don't try when he's like biting me. This horse had not very great experiences in the past. So when he bites me, I don't try to really play into that. I really just kind of ignore it and I stay with him until he stops doing it. Because if I give into that, and if I'm like, oh, you biting me, so I'm going to push extra hard or whatever, he's just going to get more sour. And I don't want that, because it's not really his fault, he just had a bad training. Push out that leg a little bit, to push those shoulders. That's beautiful.